Why, hello there everybody. Today I'm here to discuss the potential of Sukuna getting a new vessel, mainly because of the fact that Sukuna has been put recently in a really bad position. So I wanted to talk about the fact of why I think Yuta and Yuji are about to free Megami very soon, and more importantly, why I think Sukuna is going to end up taking on a new vessel, and just who exactly this new vessel will be in order to become the new final villain of Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm Eternal Flame, and let's get straight into this theory. Now, I should preface the video by saying this. This theory isn't actually one of my own, but one of the theories that you guys commented down below in the comment section, with the comment now being on screen for y'all to see. So to summarize the theory, it's basically saying this, that since Sukuna is such a genius when it comes to the soul knowledge, down to the point where even Mahito wouldn't even be able to affect his soul, it should be possible for him to be able to transfer his soul over to the Tengen embryo that he just recently ate, and allowing that Tengen and the merger by extension to become his new vessel, allowing him to become the new villain for the series after Megami is now freed directly from Yuta and Yuji. Also, more than likely with Yuta and Yuji weakening Sukuna's soul a bit in the process of that, which is why Sukuna would need to transfer souls to begin with. And there are a lot of reasons why I do think this theory is actually pretty likely to happen. But first, I do want to get into a little bit more of how bad of a state that Sukuna is actually in, and how it's only going to get worse and worse the longer and longer he stays inside of Megami's body, which is why I do believe he is going to eventually end up abandoning Megami's body and go to the merger as a vessel instead. Right now, Sukuna is at a total of half of his normal cursed energy, if not even less, because his cursed energy total actually matches that of Yuta directly. On top of that, Yuji has heavily weakened Sukuna's overall output with each of the punches, and the more and more attacks that Yuji directly lands on Sukuna, the less and less output that Sukuna will have access to. On top of that, Yuji is also tearing away at all of the effects that the bath did, allowing Megami's body to eventually wake up and fight back against Sukuna the longer and longer the fight continues, which is absolutely insane. On top of that, Yuta also has access to his domain right now, which the domain sure hit is the Angel's Jacob's Ladder technique, one that is able to purge away cursed objects, something that Sukuna's soul currently exists in, where if Yuji is able to weaken Sukuna's soul enough through his soul punches, Yuta can use Jacob's Ladder in order to purge away the soul directly. And yeah, the longer and longer the battle continues, the worse and worse of a position that Sukuna is going to get into, and it's not going to be too long until Sukuna realizes that. If not, he's already likely realized that by the fact that Yuta has just directly shown off the ability to use Cleave directly against Sukuna. Furthermore, there's also the possibility of Maki later on arriving to the battle too, and also being able to do soul damage directly towards Sukuna, and Sukuna's position just looking worse and worse as Megami gets more and more chances to fight back against everything that Sukuna has directly placed in order to make sure Megami's soul stays suppressed. Which is why I believe Sukuna is going to end up in pressure actually activating the merger. With the merger being the collective merging of all of the humans in Japan, I could see it being very likely that Sukuna tries and use Tengen as a new vessel and body for himself in order to create a new body that he can take over, that he can continue to fight against a group with that won't be able to resist as easily due to them not being Jujutsu sorcerers. Now, I don't think Sukuna would do this unless it's a last-ditch effort, which I think we're getting closer and closer towards it being a last-ditch effort, because of just how much pressure is being placed on Sukuna, as I directly talked about earlier. So the more and more this battle continues, the closer and closer Sukuna is likely going to get to this, because it needs to be remembered, Sukuna can activate the merger at any point. Sure, yes, he directly says that first he's going to kill all of the players as well as all of the opponents that are directly in front of him, but that is not necessary for him to do that. So I can see it being very likely that in the last moment, seeing that Megami is about to be free from him and he will no longer have authority over the merger, he chooses to activate the merger and he takes control over the merger, leaving them all to have to directly fight against merger Sukuna. There is also quite a bit of evidence that shows this might actually be where Gege is going with this plot. After all, Kenjaku has directly said in the past that Tengen has taken on a form very similar to Sword Sukuna, as if they were trying to impersonate Sukuna. Which was an originally quite weird comment, which only led to us being able to theorize that Tengen is trying to become more like Sukuna. However, it could be more so that Tengen and Sukuna are both able to become a merger-like creature, but Sukuna ended up not going down that path, and same with Tengen in their own separate ways. But now Sukuna is fully going to go down that path by becoming the merger and directly absorbing Tengen, becoming something completely transcendent of humans, because while Sukuna is very much transcendent of humans right now, he is not fully 100% transcendent of humans. After all, he still has a very human-like appearance. Yes, he is an 8-foot-tall monster with 4 arms and 2 faces and a stomach mouth, but he is still more humanoid-looking than cursed spirit or monster-looking. Furthermore, Sukuna has already shown clear interest in the merger because he said he would play with the merger after he had finished taking out everybody else. What better way would there be to indulge in his interest of the merger than taking over the merger and using it as his brand new vessel? Furthermore, it also helps with one of the massive problems that the merger has as a final villain right now, which is the fact that the merger is kind of just a giant cursed energy conglomeration monster if it were to appear. And I don't think it would be as satisfying for anyone else if the merger was the final villain in comparison to Sukuna or Kenjaku, purely because there is just no emotional ties to it. It's just, oh, big monster, we're fighting now. However, if we would make Sukuna the final villain through the merger and make Sukuna in control of the merger, there would be a lot more emotional stakes, and it would be a lot more satisfying for everybody after they defeat the merger, rather than just, oh, we saved the day from one huge monster. Furthermore, like the comment directly originally said, it would be the most convenient for Sukuna to be able to go into the merger and use that as his new vessel rather than continuing to fight in Megumi's body, where Megumi's body will just continue to weaken more and more because Megumi's body will continue to fight back the more and more Yuji wakes him up with his soul-seizing punches. Stacked out with the fact Yuji's also going to keep weakening his output the longer and longer he stays inside of that body, it will likely be best for him to try and possess a new body. However, this does also pose another question of, if Sukuna does end up taking the merger, how do they beat him? Because there's not really an immediate obvious way for them to be able to beat the merger. However, I do think beating the merger would actually be easier than beating Meguna because of how many drawbacks I can see likely existing from Sukuna taking on the form of the merger in comparison. Now, to know what the drawbacks would be, we have to look back towards Tengen and why Tengen didn't willingly become the merger. In theory, Tengen could absorb all of humanity and they would be fine. Their thoughts would normally not be affected if it wasn't for the fact that there are literal millions of souls that are now cursed spirits that are each fighting for control, and the second they sense some negative form of emotion or energy, they're going to go rampage. That's effectively what would happen with Sukuna. Where, while yes, Sukuna is able to likely overpower one or hundreds of souls that are not all that strong, there are going to be millions of them that are going to be directly fighting back and directly wanting to take control over the body and cause chaos as a result of that, or just being confused overall. Furthermore, Sukuna won't have a bath that he used to suppress all of the souls like he did with Megumi, where this will be a much more on-the-rush, on-the-fly vessel, so there will be a lot more openings and weaknesses to this vessel in comparison. Stack that with the fact we have Yuji, who is directly able to tear souls away from bodies as stated by Sukuna, as well as Maki with the Soul Split Katana, which are both going to be so much more effective on Sukuna now, because Sukuna is just one big massive soul conglomerate. I could see Sukuna, while having much more power in comparison to himself and just being a raw power monster that's just going around having fun, I don't think Sukuna would have as much control and finesse, and I can see that being Sukuna's drawback and downfall from taking on such a massive form if he ends up taking on Tengen as a vessel. It's also what I see Sukuna already knowing, and Sukuna choosing not to do it until the last possible moment where he doesn't actually have an option anymore, where it's either he takes Tengen on as a vessel or he accepts death and allows them to take him out. And while I do think Sukuna does want to die a death of combat, I don't think he is that willing to accept death if he does have an out of the way of it. If Sukuna does have an out, he is more than likely going to take that out until he doesn't have any outs anymore. That is when I think Sukuna will accept death, and that is why I think this is going to be Sukuna's final move, becoming the merger itself. Oh, and finally, I really think this would be a really cool final battle. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of the main reason I want this to happen. Just imagine this giant monster that's fighting against Megumi, Yuji, Maki, and Yuta, and Hikari all at the same time. Them all going at the soul from different angles, trying to help break the other people away from Japan, and break people away from the merger, while taking out Sukuna once and for all. Furthermore, it could also really work well on a narrative message of what Sukuna's ideology leads to people becoming. A monster of power that can't even be recognized as a human anymore. So that could also be a really cool way to use the Tengen merger and use Sukuna as the vessel for the merger. I just think this overall would be better than just the merger existing and being the final villain if the merger does at all come to be. That it would be Sukuna who possesses the merger rather than just the merger existing. However, I want to hear what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'm gonna see y'all later. Peace out. Hope y'all have a good day. Bye. Hey you. Yeah, I'm here to hook you up with some really good anime merch and merch for comic book lovers. Now, do you love Jujutsu Kaisen, Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, Marvel, DC, and all of the above, and do you have your own nerd stuff that you're into? Well, I got some good stuff for you today, as our friends at Fan Dominion are here to hook you up because they got the best merch. If you've been around here for a while, you'll know that they've been with our channel for a long time. So you can take it from me that they got good merch and they will hook you up with the highest quality merch. After all, I really recommend them. They got some really good merch, and I'm gonna hook you all up with something special. If you use the code TEF, really simple, really easy to remember, made it simple for all y'all, you get a 10% discount. Yeah, that's right, a 10% discount for all the merch you could possibly buy. And I guarantee you'll be happy with whatever you get. So, you guys make some money, I'll give you a discount, I make some money, we all get happy. Hope you all enjoy, and let's continue on with the rest of the video. Remember to check out Fandomian. Link in the description down below, as well as our code.